So in our previous webinars, we have covered the theme picture, and we've covered also the vocabulary and grammar section of the Light of the World lessons. And last time we talked about the conversations, and we were using our A and B cards to show that there's two parts to the conversation. And so after we do conversation, the next part of our lesson is pronunciation. And the pronunciation part of the lesson, we are reviewing two specific sounds. And then we also look at a particular sound that our group of students has difficulty in pronouncing. So that's going to vary from class to class and student to student, depending largely on the student's first language. And so that's why for the first part of the pronunciation lesson, we have the sound here, which is the long A sound represented by the capital letter A. We have the B sound, and then the column number 3 is always a challenge, which will be whatever sound your student needs to practice, you'll put that sound in box number 3. So just like with all the other sections of our curriculum, this one uses the model, repeat, and solo format. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this into presentation mode so we can see it full screen. Okay. And oops, did we lose somebody? I think we lost Prakash. So sometimes it's hard to get a good connection when it's raining. So here, once again, you can see my whole screen in presenter view, but if I wanted to just show a portion of the screen, I could do that as well. But let's start here with our first sound, which is the long A sound, A. And so we start out by saying that sound a few times so our students can hear us and so they can see our mouths. And when we make the A sound, I usually exaggerate my mouth movements a little bit just to make it more visible to them. But the corners of our mouth go out, A, and we tighten our jaw, A. And this sound exists in a lot of languages, so it's not a particularly difficult sound to make for most students. So then after making that A sound, so I modeled it, and now I'm going to ask you guys to repeat it. So if you could unmute yourselves, class, can you repeat the A? A.
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 Very good. Good job. All right. And now I'm going to read all of these words that have the A sound. And notice that the A sound is often spelled with the letter A. And so in this column, we have words that the students are familiar with. These are words that they've already been introduced to in the previous lessons. So we don't spend a lot of time talking about what these words mean. They should recognize them from previous lessons. So I will go through, I'm going to read this whole column of words a couple of times, and you guys can listen. Table, name, okay, play, ate, table, name, okay, play, ate. Now I will have you guys repeat in unison. Can you go ahead all together? Everybody say these words with me. Table,
Table,
name,
name,
okay,
okay,
play,
play,
8.
8.
All right, very good. Kimberly, can you please read column number 1?
Table, name, okay, play, 8.
Excellent, well done. And Kezia, can you please read column 1?
Table, name, okay, play, 8.
Very good. Nice job. Nice job. And so I would give several people in the class an opportunity to practice that, depending how large your class is. So some of our online classes have 30 people and you don't have time to have everybody try it, but you try to, during the lesson, give everyone a chance to solo on some part of the lesson, even if you can't do everybody every single time. Okay, great job. Do you guys have any questions about the A sound in column number 1? Then we'll go ahead with column number 2. This is the sound that's pronounced B, B, B. And it's usually spelled with the letter B. So can you guys repeat? So we can do listen and then we do repeat. So please repeat B, B, B.
B, B.
B.
Very good, very good. Now, we want people to try to say the sound without attaching a vowel to it. So we don't want them to think that the sound is B, like B, B-A, B, but it's just the B, B sound. But it's very hard to make a consonant sound without putting a vowel after it or before it. So what we want to make sure is when people pronounce this sound, they don't give it an extra syllable, and instead of saying by, they'll say b-I, b-ottle, bathroom. Okay, it should just flow into the vowel. So it's by, bottle, bathroom, ball, Bible. By, bottle, bathroom, ball, Bible. Okay. Can you guys please repeat, class? By, bottle,
Bottle,
bathroom,
bathroom,
ball,
ball,
Bible.
Bible.
Okay. And if at this point, if I notice anyone is having trouble, I will point out sometimes some of the letters that get confused with B are the P sounds. So sometimes they'll say pie, pottle, bathroom. And then we have to show them that the B sound, we're putting our 2 lips together and also our voice box is engaged. So you will feel a vibration in your throat. So it's boo, 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 boo. Whereas the P sound is just p, 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 and there's no vibration. Another sound that gets confused with the B sound is the V, like Victor. And so I will show with my mouth that B, B, B is with 2 lips, and V, V, V is with my teeth touching my lower lip. So sometimes these exaggerated facial movements can help, and little techniques such as one thing I do is I will use a little mirror, and if students are having difficulties, I'll have them look at their own mouth in the mirror so they can see the position of their teeth and tongue and lips in the mirror. Sometimes that helps them. We can also, there's a number of pronunciation resources out there. So there are YouTube videos they can work on to, if they're having challenges with a particular sound. And there's a number of pronunciation websites that will show you illustrations of the articulation and the actual position that your tongue and lips are meant to be in. So feel free to use those resources too if your students are really struggling with a particular sound. But because this is level A1, we don't expect students to get their pronunciation perfect at this level. So if they're making an approximation and they're doing the best they can, that's fine. There's going to be certain sounds that students may not be able to pronounce for a couple of years. And we don't want to spend too much time frustrating them with something where their lips and tongue and mouth are just not coordinated yet to make those sounds, especially sounds that they don't exist in their own language. So for some sounds, students can't even hear the difference if the sounds don't exist in their first language. And so they might not be able to hear the difference between a B and a V, or between a P and a B. So that gets challenging, but at this point, we just want to model it, get them to practice as closely as they can. So Prakash, I'm going to ask you to solo. Could you please read the words in column number 2?
Okay, buy, bottle, bathroom, ball, Bible.
All right, very good, very good. And so also remember, we're just focusing on this particular sound. And so if they're having trouble with other adjacent sounds in those words, we don't need to correct that right now. We're just making sure that they're saying the B part of the word. And we can recast it if they're not saying it quite right. We can say, okay, listen again, and I'll say it again. Buy, bottle, bath, bathroom, ball, Bible. Give them a chance to hear it again, and then try to repeat it again. Very nice, great job. Okay, and then we're gonna go to the challenge part. Oops, I went too far. Oh, that's right. I've got to come out of presenter view to do this. So let me stop my slideshow and go into my normal view. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to edit this, take out the word challenge, and put in a new sound. So let me ask you, Kezia, as a Portuguese speaker, what are some sounds in English that are difficult for you and for your students?
I think because Portuguese, our words is very open. I don't know how I explain, but when we are learning English, we have difficult because we want to say, for example, bottle, buy, yes, more open like that. We have a difficult to TH together because the sound doesn't exist in our language.
Mhm.
And we have a tendency to say how we read.
Yes,
For
right.
example, challenge, for example, not challenge, but
Mhm.
challenge.
Yes, and that's very common that we
Yeah.
have so many silent letters in English that we don't pronounce. And that's very hard if you come from a language where you pronounce all of the letters, to remember
Yeah.
not to pronounce them. Well, let's take TH, since this is a very hard sound for a lot of people to make. And there are two different TH sounds in English. There's the TH voiced sound. And voice just means when you say it, your throat is vibrating. So it's and then there's also one that's called the TH unvoiced, which your throat doesn't vibrate. It's just air. It's just. But let's try the TH voiced to practice that, because that's used in most of the common small words that start with TH in English. So we have the, these, that, oops, that, those, them. Okay, so the voice TH sound, since this is challenging for Portuguese speakers, and we're going to practice this so it will be relevant to our students. And we practice first by going, okay, repeat.
Mhm.
Z.
Very good. And can you feel the vibration in your throat? One thing
Yeah.
I've even done when teaching the TH sound is I'll take a little bit of paper and put it on my tongue. And you should be able to, when you make that sound, you can throw that little piece of paper off of your tongue. Sometimes that's a fun exercise we'll do in class. So we'll go and see if they can get the air to throw that little piece of paper off of their tongue. You can also do things like holding a sheet of paper in front. So if I have a sheet of paper and I can go, they can see the paper move and notice that the breath is coming, but also their throat is vibrating when they do that. Okay, so now I'm going to read the column of words here. The, these, that, those, them. The, these, that, those, them. Let's repeat that together. The, these, that, those, them. Very good. Kezia, can you try this solo?
Yeah. They, these, that, those, them.
Okay, very good, very good. And you can even stick out your tongue a little bit farther. The, these, that, those, them.
Them.
Try it one more time, Kezia.
The, these, that, those, them.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. So commonly when people have trouble with the TH sound, they'll just make a T sound. And with the T sound, we don't stick our tongue. We're not putting our tongue the in front of our teeth. We're putting our tongue behind our teeth. And so that can be good, again, to if students are making the T sound, to give them a mirror, let them look at their mouth and see it's the, not t, t, t. Okay, now we come to, so we do the model repeat solo, and then we have two sentences at the bottom that use the sounds. Okay, I need 8 bottles. Okay, I need 8 bottles. Prakash, can you please read sentence A?
Okay, I need 8 bottles.
All right, good. And Inji, can you read sentence A, please?
Okay, I need 8 bottles.
Very good. And then sentence B, the Bible is on the table. The Bible is on the table. Kezia, can you read letter B?
Okay. The Bible is on the table.
Very good. And Kimberly, can you read sentence B?
The Bible is on the table.
Excellent. Good job. Good job. And so this gives them a chance to practice these words in a full sentence. And you may want to make notes about your class. And if there are students that are struggling with a particular sound, you can ask them to do extra practice on that sound for homework. And you can also make a note of it for your next lesson. When you do the challenge column, you can come back to those difficult sounds and practice them in your challenge. So that is the first part of our pronunciation, which is the sounds. And then the second part of our pronunciation is hum the stress. And oh, question?
Sorry, Melinda. I wanted to ask on the prior slide, just in terms of, I guess, class preparation. If you know you have a class that's of one language as the one language, their primary language. So you have the example of Portuguese, and I'm working a lot with Japanese students. Would you suggest that we kind of do that research ahead of time to know which sounds that first language normally has difficulty with in English? Or do you find it really varies by the student?
Yeah, it generally, you're correct. It varies by the language. So you'll find like that all, like for all my Spanish speaking and all my Portuguese students have difficulties with the TH at the beginner stage because that doesn't exist in their language. Yes, so you can research the language and find out which sounds are more difficult. And you can just do a Google search, and say, which English sounds are difficult for Japanese speakers? And you'll find a list of them. But generally, even if you don't do research, you're going to pick it up just from the beginning of your lesson. So as you're doing things like the theme picture, if they call it a pottle of water or a bottle of water instead of a bottle of water, you're going to know that they have that problem. So just as you go through the theme picture and the vocabulary, you're likely to hear right away. Also in the conversation, you're going to hear them making pronunciation errors, and you can use the ones that they've just encountered in the same lesson in the challenge box.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, good. That's a great question. What else? Did you guys have any other questions about this portion of pronunciation? Now, when we come to the second part, hum the stress, This is really important because it's getting the stress on the right syllable is going to make a huge difference in how well your students can be understood by others. And as Kezia said, in most languages like Portuguese, we pronounce all the letters of a word. So if we have the word bread, many people want to pronounce it as bre-ad with 2 syllables. Or, you know, even for the word food, they'll pronounce it fo-ode with 2 syllables. And so we're showing them by these little symbols here how many syllables are in the word and which syllable is stressed. So the instructions we've got here, we begin by humming the stress of a column of words. We hum higher, longer, and louder for the big dashes, lower, shorter, and quieter for the small dashes. So there's 3 components to stress. The pitch is higher on a stressed syllable. The duration is longer in time, and it's also louder in volume. So we can emulate those 3 characteristics by humming. We can also clap along with it, and that's helpful sometimes for the students. But clap only will show us how loud it is. It doesn't give us the pitch or the duration. So that's just one component of it. So let's start out with column number 1. These are 1-syllable words. This is the easiest. We just show them. It's and then I go through and read the words and show that it's 1 syllable. Food, bad, ball, fork, bread. Food, bad, ball, fork, bread. Okay, so 1 syllable. Food, bad, ball, fork, bread. Okay, so Inji, can you please say those words in column 1?
Yes. Food, bed, bowl, fork, bread.
Good. Now, if you want, you can also have the whole class humming and clapping in unison. Sometimes that's fun. So you can have everybody going, food, bad, ball, fork, bread. Food, bad, ball, fork, bread. So let's try that with the clapping and see how that works. So class, clap along with me and let's do this 1 syllable. Here we go. Food,
Food,
bad,
bad,
ball, fork,
fork,
bread.
bread.
And it's challenging on Zoom because we get that delay. But sometimes that's fun with an in-person class. All right, so 1 syllables are usually pretty easy. Again, it's when they have 2 vowels in them and it's a 1-syllable word. It can be, it's important for students to realize it's just 1 syllables. It's not food, it's just food, 1 syllable. Okay, and then in our second column, this one is and sometimes I'll do it with my hand. Okay, that's a little exaggerated, but it's water, bottle, table, never, thirsty. Water, bottle, table, never, thirsty. mhm, mhm. All right. So Prakash, can you go ahead with column number 2, the 2 syllables, and say the humming, and then say the words in the column. So water, bottle, table, never, thirsty. And go ahead, Prakash.
Water, bottle, table, neighbor, thirsty.
Okay, good, good. And Kimberly, can you do that one, column number 2?
Mm-hmm. 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 Water, bottle, table, never, thirsty.
All right, very nice. Good job, good job. And now in our 3rd column, it's the opposite. It starts with an unstressed syllable and then it goes to the stressed syllable. So it's 2 syllables, but it's I need, hello, goodbye, let's go, repeat. I need, hello, goodbye, let's go, repeat. All right, let's try that one together.
Mhm.
I
Mhm. Mhm.
need, I
I
need,
need
hello, hello,
hello,
goodbye, goodbye,
goodbye.
let's go, let's
Let's
go,
go.
repeat, repeat.
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 Okay, good. And Inji, can I have you read that column number 3?
Mhm. I need, hello, goodbye, let's go, repeat.
Very nice. Good job. And Kezia, can you do this column number 3?
Mhm. I need hello, goodbye, let's go, repeat.
Excellent. Great job. Very nice. Very nice. Any questions on this hum the stress portion of pronunciation? And as we get into more advanced levels, we'll learn other things about sentence stress and how stress affects when you're asking a question. But at this stage, we just want them to be getting the stress on the right syllable as they're pronouncing individual words and short phrases. So those are the 2 parts of the pronunciation lesson. And you'll notice again in this part that these words we're using to practice are familiar words that they've already learned in previous lessons. So we don't want to confuse them by throwing in new vocabulary as well as a pronunciation exercise. So these are familiar words. They've heard them before earlier in the lesson. And so this is a chance to make sure they're pronouncing the sounds correctly and getting that syllable stress correct.
So Melina says pronunciation is hard. Do we still encourage? I know we're encouraging, but I've heard like hello, like not that is like hello, but I've heard hello, and and so sometimes I don't know, you still understand what they're saying, even though the stress is wrong.
Mhm.
And there isn't a rhyme or reason to where and how the stress is and the pronunciation. So I don't know. I guess there's a little bit of grace and leniency in terms of the stress on the syllables, I think, maybe.
Yes, and as they I'll tell you a funny story. One of my colleagues told me he was in a store recently. He's from Kenya, Africa, and he was in a store and he was making a purchase, and he was carrying this electronic apparatus, and a woman in line next to him asked him what it was, and he said, "It's, oh, this is an antenna." And she's like, "A what?" And he said, "Antenna. It's an antenna." And she said, "What in the world is an antenna?" And he said, "Well, it's for my television so that I get a signal." And she goes, "Oh, you mean an antenna?" And so it was a word. He was holding the object in front of her and saying the word, but because he had the stress on the wrong syllable, she had no idea what he was saying. And then she was like, "Oh, antenna." So just that difference between antenna and antenna can make a world of difference. So yes, as in these beginning stages, we do show a lot of grace. And if we are trying hard, we can understand people, even if they put the stress on the wrong word. But as their teachers, we've got to be pointing them always in the right direction, especially when we notice mistakes that can lead to misunderstandings. But it's progress. And even, even many years into their English studies, this will be one thing that they'll probably struggle with, is making particular sounds and getting the stress on the right syllables. So this portion of the lesson, I mean, you could spend 2 hours just on pronunciation in each lesson, but it fatigues students. This is something that's hard for them to do. It takes a lot of concentration. So we will go through those pronunciation exercises pretty quickly. We spend maybe 10 minutes on that section of the lesson, and then we encourage them to practice at home. You can even have assignments, like have them send you a voicemail message reading those sentences so that you can hear the progress they're making. And I find when you ask students to do an assignment where they record themselves, they actually get a lot of practice, because they'll probably record it 3 or 4 times before they send it to you. And so that's a nice way for you to see if they're making progress in it, and also giving them some additional practice. Yeah, but that's a good point, Kimberly. And there are variations, and depending on the sentence, sometimes we would say hello instead of hello, but we want them to get the general stress patterns down.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay, well, I'm going to stop recording here. And next week, we're going to pick up with the next part of the lesson, which is the Bible story.